Good morning, afternoon, or evening, everyone. My name is Jeremy Walsh, and I'm the Director of Support, Training, and Documentation for BNI Connect. I'd like to welcome everybody to the webinar today. Today's webinar is our third in our series of 5 webinars specifically designed for new members or people that are just logging into BNI Connect for the first time. We go through the system in kind of step-by-step processes, 30-minute sections to go through just about every aspect of the member experience here in BNI Connect. Try to keep it in bite-sized chunks just so we're not drinking from the fire hose and trying to cram too much in at one time. So today, as I said, is part 3. Monday, we went over how to fill out your profile. Yesterday, Tuesday, we went over the online slips and how to record your referrals and one-to-ones and CEUs, and thank you for closed business through BNI Connect and some of the benefits for doing so. Today, we're going to talk about kind of the social side of BNI Connect. We're going to talk about connections. We're going to talk about groups. We're going to talk about testimonials, all of the different ways that we can kind of reach into the BNI Connect network and find and really network with people in BNI around the world, and we have about 205,000 opportunities to do so now that we have over 200,000 members around the world. So tomorrow, what we're going to do is we're going to take a deep dive into the system and talk about the tools and reports, and then finally on Friday, we're going to talk about the visitor process and how that works in BNI Connect. So before we get started, just a couple of little housekeeping things. First of all, if you're listening to this on Wednesday, November 16th at 3 o'clock Eastern Time, you are on a live webinar. That means that if you have any questions as we're going through the material today, please feel free to ask those questions. The best way to do that is to please type your question into the questions panel. I'll see that immediately pop up on the screen. I can either answer the question as we're going through the material, or if it's something unrelated to today's subject matter, please feel free to ask it anyway. Anything in BNI Connect is fair game. The only silly question is the unasked question. Now, although I said we will, we try to keep these to about a half hour. I am always happy to stay on these calls until every single question has been answered. I think Monday's call went for about, 45 minutes, 50 minutes. And again, if it goes 33 minutes, that's fine. If it goes 50 minutes, that's fine as well. But we'll get through the content portion within that half hour. Finally, we do record all of these webinars and we make them available to you on our website. So on our support site, if you click the question mark in the upper right-hand corner of BNI Connect, you can get there and see all the live and recorded webinars. You can also find them on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/BNI Connect Global. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. So as I've said a couple of times, BNI Connect allows you to connect with other people around the world. And this is a really important concept because really it ties our whole BNI community together. Now, one of the great perks about my job is that I get to travel around the world and teach people about BNI Connect. I'll be in Spain next week teaching members about BNI Connect. I was in Canada about a month ago. Next year I have a couple of places that I'll be as well. But when I go, I often like to visit chapter meetings. And that's, sometimes I go, and I was in the Netherlands a couple of years ago, and they perform the chapter meetings in Dutch, as you would expect. And Dutch sounds nothing like English. But the cool part was I really could tell that they're doing the same exact thing that we're doing in our chapter meetings on a weekly basis. Not only that, but the excitement about the referrals, but also the accountability of it. They had a membership committee meeting after the meeting. They were working with each other as a team. Now we can take that philosophy and expand that on a global basis. So my personal opinion, and this is what I do, I always turn to BNI first for a referral, even if it's not in my own chapter or my own state or even my own country. I'll try to find another BNI member around the world that can help to fulfill those needs. The first part of that, of course, is I'm not going to go into details with this, but you really have to make sure that you filled out your profile. If you haven't filled out your profile yet, please do that first, because if somebody comes across your profile and it's an empty profile, they're pretty much going to pass you by and go on to the next person. Now again, if you'd like to review the webinar from Monday, if you aren't there, please go ahead and do that. Otherwise, just a quick Reader's Digest 45-second recap. Click on the Update Profile here, or click on Options, My Account. Both things will take you into the same place. And the short answer here is just go through all of these tabs along the top and fill everything out. That's all there is to it. Especially important is to make sure you have a picture up there. On these Account Settings tab, make sure that you are sharing your contact details with everyone. That is my recommendation, because when people come across your profile, they want to be able to get in touch with you. They don't want to wait until you've accepted a connection request. They'd like to get your contact details right away. And then back on this main tab, make sure that your keywords are filled out. All right, so enough of that. Let's take a look at some of these other networking components. Now, here on the home screen, this is our chapter activity, so our personal activity. The place to go to see these networking components, or the social components, right below on the left-hand side here, it says My BNI Business. This kind of like flag, this ribbon that's here. If you go right below that and click on My Network, this will bring you kind of into the networking dashboard, if you will. And what we'll see here is that there's 6 different tiles, and these are really the different kind of networking components of BNI Connect. We have the connections. Connections are really our it's your own personal BNI address book. If you think about it with LinkedIn, and you have all your connections in LinkedIn, it's similar. These are the people that, now with BNI Connect, you have access to the profiles of every BNI member in the world, all 200,000+ of them. The intention is not to collect, it's not like Pokemon where you got to collect them all. That's not the intention of connections. It is really to make sure that you are putting in the people that you're going to frequently contact. So it's kind of like your own personal networking black book, if you will. You're automatically going to be connected to all of the people that are in your chapter. But again, you can supplement that and add connections as you meet other BNI members around the world. The next tile over is the groups tile, and the groups here is your ability to have discussions with other people around the world. And these are really their discussion groups, conversations that are happening. There are conversations about all sorts of things. There's BNI conversations about certain positions and responsibilities and things like that. There's groups of like-minded individuals that are getting together. For example, there was a florist group in there at one point where florists from around the world were banding together to see if they could refer business to one another in other states and other countries around the world, almost like their own kind of FTD floral network. The next thing over here is the documents. Now the documents are more of a regional thing, and that's where your regional office, your executive director, your director consultants, that's where they can share regional documents. A lot of things in BNI are customized at a regional level. For example, visitor sign-in sheets and certain accountability letters and things like that. They're customized so that they have the local office contact information, for example, or your own zip codes and phone numbers. So a lot of times they will keep those up in that documents section to share with you. Going back down to the left-hand bottom corner, we have testimonials. Testimonials, you can leave a testimonial, you can give a testimonial to anybody that you're connected with. And that testimonial will display on their interior, their BNI Connect profile. It does not display on the public website. It only displays on the inside of BNI Connect. The next thing we have here is events. The events in the bottom middle, that will show you all of your regional training and networking events. So it'll show you things like the Member Success Program and any advanced trainings. And you can sign up for those trainings right through that events interface. And finally, in the bottom right-hand side, we do have an internal messaging system. Keep in mind, this is not email your chapter function. This is an internal messaging function. So that means that by default, you do have to log into BNI Connect to retrieve those messages. That's why if you're going to be emailing your chapter, it's better to use regular email for that. But this is also between all of your connections. So it's not just your chapter, but as you connect to other people as well, you can message them through that system. So let's take a look at some of these things. So the first thing is, let's talk about the connections. So let me go in and look at this connections interface. So I'm going to click this Manage button under Connections. And just we have a quick testimonial here from Liz. Liz is a member in the Referral Champions in Sarasota, Florida, and she said, you know, this really works. I traveled from Sarasota, Florida to my hometown of Brunswick, Maine last week. While she was there, she attended a BNI meeting and came away with 2 projects. And it works especially well because she's an editor and write and edit website content, and there aren't a lot of that profession out there in BNI. That is an awesome testimonial. That is exactly one of the reasons why this works so well. So Liz, if you ever felt obliged to do so, if you could put that into an email and let me know about that experience. I would love to share that with Dr. Meisner and with other people on the BNI Connect project. It's stuff like that kind of keeps us going. That's the reason that we do what we do. So you can send that to support@bniconnect.com, or you can always send it to me directly, jeremy@bni.com. jeremy@bni.com or support@bniconnect.com. Thank you so much, Liz. All right, so this is the connections interface. So what this is again, it's your kind of address book of all of the people that you're connected with. It'll start out being just the people from your chapter, but then as you connect with people around the world, and again, this is directors and members and executive directors, and even Dr. Meisner has a profile here in BNI Connect, and you can connect with anybody around the world. When I click on any of these people, for example, Alana here, if I click on Alana, she's a director consultant in the California regions, I can see more of her information. So if I wanted to send her an email, if I wanted to send her some postal mail, if I wanted to go check out her Facebook page, her website, I could check out all those things. I can also send her a message. I can ask her for a testimonial. I can give her a testimonial. I can go and view her full profile in BNI Connect, or I can remove her from my connections. So those are all the different options I have that I can do once I'm viewing her profile here. Now you'll notice that some people in your chapter, you'll have those same options. Let me see if I can find somebody from my chapter here. And the only difference really, Brad Asher, he is in my chapter. The only difference with people in your chapter is that you'll notice here that I don't have the ability to remove him from my connections. As people join your chapter, they'll be automatically added. As they leave your chapter, they will be automatically removed. So if you want to add people to your connections, a couple of ways you can do that. If you're in my connections here, you can just click on Add Connection. Okay, so that's one way to do it. If I'm back on that My Network page or tab here, I can click on Add under Connections. And of course, because there's always a third way to do everything, we can click on the magnifying glass up here in the upper right-hand corner. No matter which way you do it, it will take you to the same place. And that is the BNI Global Directory. As I said, this is searching members around the world. So the way we search is we just go in here and search. So for example, the easiest way to search is to just search for somebody by name. So for example, Liz, who just had that wonderful testimonial, if I wanted to do a search for Liz, I can just search for her by name. And I can see that she is indeed in the BNI Referral Champions in Sarasota, Florida. So I can go ahead and click on her name, for example, and I can go check out her profile. So this is Liz here. There's her smiling face. Thank you so much, Liz. And I can see that she's in Florida Southwestern, and all of the, she's the education coordinator of that chapter. I can see all of the things that she does here. Now, Liz, the one thing you may want to do is to share your contact information, because if I did have a referral for you right now, I couldn't give you a call because I don't have your phone number. Of course, I could always go out to your website and see if you have your phone number listed there, but I do recommend sharing your contact details. I can also go through and, as a credibility builder, read some of her other things. I can read her gains profile and her tops profile. I can see other people that she's connected with as well. I can also read if she has any testimonials. Here we go. There's a nice testimonial here from Andre. There is a photo sharing library. I can see if she was participating in any groups and also her training history. Now, if I wanted to add her to my connections, I could click on Add Liz to my connections. And I can either just leave this as the default message, or I can write a special message. Thanks for being on the webinar today and for being such a good sport. Smiley face. All right, so I'd like to add you to my connections and click Submit. Now, Liz will get an email saying, hey, Jeremy Walsh would like to connect with you. Do you want to accept that connection? Now, you'll notice this did open up in another tab here, so I can always go and close this out and go back to my original search results. Now, you don't have to search for people by name. You can also search by profession, for example. So let's say that I was, my grandmother called me. She's in a panic, and she really, really needs a plumber, and she lives in Pittsburgh. So I could do a search for plumber in Pittsburgh. This will come back with the search results, and look at this. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have about 7 results for plumbers in Pittsburgh. So I can go through and I can start clicking on them. And as I said, this is why it's really important to share your contact information and fill out your profile. Because most of the time, if I'm looking for a plumber or whatever profession, I want to get in touch with that person right away. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to switch over and I'm going to go right to the next person and probably go to the next person until I find somebody that has their profile filled out. All right, so that's the way to search for people. Now you can also, you'll notice there's in this gray bar here, there is a thing called advanced search. So when we're searching on the regular search, it's kind of taking all of the search terms and taking its best guess, just like Google would or Yahoo, without quite the sophisticated search engine, but it's going to do its best to try to match whatever you're searching for against a bunch of different fields. Sometimes, though, that can produce either too few or too many results, and that's what this advanced search is great for. So you can make sure that you're searching specifically against keywords or specifically against the first or last name or the company name. So let's say that I'm an Edward Jones employee, and I want to see if I can connect with other people that are in Edward Jones around the United States or around the world. So I could just type in under company name Edward Jones. Click Search Members, and this will return at least the first 250 entries. It will only return 250 entries, but this is the first 250 entries for members in Edward Jones around the United States. And that's a great way to build a network of like-minded individuals as well. So going back to the connections, and from here, if I go to Network Connections, this will take me back to my connections interface. So as people want to connect with you, they will send you connection requests. And just like LinkedIn and Facebook and a lot of the other sites out there, this is an opt-in system. So you'll receive your connection requests here under the My Connections. You see this like folder here at the bottom, Received Requests. And if I click on that, I will see all of the people that have sent me connection requests. So I have a couple options once I get here. I could, let's say that I'm not really sure who Hughes Tremblay is. I could always click on his picture or on his name here, and that will take me to his profile. And now, oh, that's right, Hughes was in my training up in Canada a little while ago, and he has just sent me a connection request. So of course I want to accept that connection. I could also click on Read Message to see if he sent me a personal message, and that's right, we met at the BNI Connect training. So I can go ahead and accept this request. And now I have 9 more requests. Now, if you don't want to go through each one of them individual and you have a bunch of requests here, what you can do is click on Select All and click on Connect to Selected. And that will quickly connect you with all of the people that have sent you connection requests. So those have now been all accepted, and if I go back to my all connections, you can see that number's gone up to 552, and they have been added in to my connections. Now, testimonials in BNI Connect, and Liz, I see you put a couple of comments in there. What we'll do is we can take a look at this directly at the end of the webinar, if that's okay. But the next part of this is testimonials, and you can give testimonials to other BNI members. You do have to be connected with them first. So let's say that I wanted to give a testimonial to Amber here. I would click on her profile, and one of the options here is to give Amber a testimonial. I just need to write out my testimonial and click Submit. I'm not really going to submit that one, but that's it. Giving a testimonial is really, it's as easy as that. One thing to keep in mind is that we do try to keep it nice and fresh. You can only give one testimonial per connection. So if you have somebody that you'd like to give a second testimonial to, or you need to update that testimonial, please ask them to delete the one that's on their account, and then you'll be able to enter in a new one. If you'd like to review your testimonials, here in the connections, I can click on this Testimonials button. That'll toggle me over to the Testimonials screen. Of course, if I'm back on the home screen, I can always click on Manage under Testimonials, or I can go to Network Testimonials. As I said, there's always multiple ways to get into these. And here we can see there's I have about 18 testimonials here. I could go through and I could read one of them if I'd like to. Let's say I wanted to read this one from Guy here. Guy left me a testimonial a couple of years ago. I could review that. I can also choose whether or not to display that on my profile. And if I wanted to, I could also delete that. You can also review any testimonials that you've given to people. I can click on that testimonial and remind myself of what I wrote to them. And then also there may be people that have requested a testimonial of you. And you can either give that testimonial, ignore it, or reject that testimonial. Keep in mind that if you ignore it, it will be taken out of your testimonial list, but they'll never be able to request another one. So it's kind of an ignore forever thing. All right, so that's the testimonials and the connections. The last thing I want to show you guys today is the groups functionality. And the groups, as I said, this is really our way to network with other people around the world. Now to get there, I can click on Manage under Groups. Or of course, I can go back to that network menu at the top and go to Groups. Now, once I get into the groups, you'll notice that there are quite a few groups in there. There are, if I go to scroll down to the bottom here, there are currently 503 groups in BNI Connect, and these groups, they are active groups. That's something to keep in mind, is that if you go into LinkedIn, and I hate to keep comparing BNI Connect to LinkedIn, but if I go to LinkedIn, there are tens of thousands of groups in there, and I think I'm a member of several dozen of them that haven't had any comments in them in years and years. in BNI Connect, we do enforce a 90-day window of activity. So that means that if any group goes dormant for more than 90 days, we actually, we send out a warning, but then we will delete that group. We'll take it out of the system. So be very careful about that. If you do decide to start a group, to make sure that you are on top of it and you continue to participate in that group. So as I said, there are groups on all sorts of things. There are, here's one for the Insurance Referral Network, and that is to, they're gathering up insurance people from all over the country in order to refer insurance business to one another. What a great idea. There's one for property and development, a real estate, global referrals, business opportunities, Power Team of Mumbai. Remember, this is a global organization. Just going through them, you can see all sorts of different groups here in the system. And all of these ones, at least, they have posts as recently as today. So I could go in if I wanted to and, jump into one of these groups. For example, this group right here, the Home Improvement and Building Network. If I go in and I take a look at this group, I can review any of these topics. Is anybody seeking a business partner in China? Go back, review more topics, and of course participate in any of these discussions. Now the thing to keep in mind is that there are a lot of groups, so you can browse through them if you want to, page by page by page by page. Or there is a search function in the groups as well. So if I go back to the main groups interface here, there is a search function. So this little magnifying glass here, if I click that, a little screen folds down. And let's say that, for example, I wanted to take part in Dr. Meisner's groups here in BNI Connect. So I could click on Creator Meisner, and actually there's 4 groups here. There's the Why BNI group, the From the Founder group, the Foundation group, and this one's actually a private group for the International Board of Advisors. And if I wanted to join that group, I would just click on Join Group. Then I would start getting notifications about any posts that happen in that group as well. Now, something to consider. For example, this From the Founder group. This group has 4,000 people in it. So that means that whenever you introduce yourself or you go in and make comments on any of these topics of conversation, 4,000 people are reading those comments. That's a pretty big responsibility. You have to make sure that you're saying things that are positive and supportive. This is not a forum for spamming people. This is a forum for collaboration and building relationships around the world. But once you're participating in these discussions, you can always look at the participants tab as well, because if there's somebody that you wanted to connect with, you could always go and, for example, click on Peter Sylvester here. Yep, and I could review his information, send him an email, give him a call. I happen to already be connected to Peter. He's an executive director in the United Kingdom, but otherwise I could add him to my connections. All right, we are at the bottom of the hour, so what I'd like to do is to open this up for any questions that you might have. Again, it could be about the social media things in BNI Connect or any part of the BNI Connect system. I'm always happy to answer any questions. I just want to make sure that I'm respectful of everybody's time, so for those of you that do need to leave right away at the bottom of the hour, thank you guys so much for being here with me today and learning a little bit more about BNI Connect. I do invite you back to our future webinars. Again, tomorrow we're going to be talking about, what we're going to do is we're going to take a deeper dive into the system, and we're going to take a look at some of the other tools and reports that are here in BNI Connect that aren't quite so obvious. So we're going to kind of go to those scary places beyond the home page. Then on Friday, we're going to talk about the whole visitor process, all the way from inviting a visitor through registering a visitor, and then following up with them afterwards. As always, these are recorded and they'll be available on our support site. You get there by clicking this question mark here in the upper right-hand corner. Click that question mark. That will take you over to the support site, and you'll see the live and recorded webinars as well as a number of other documentation topics. Of course, you can always go to youtube.com/BNI Connect Global. BNI Connect Global, that is, on YouTube. And this is our channel where we have a ton of material. We have just tons and tons of webinars and special announcements by Dr. Meisner and all sorts of things up there. All right, I do have one question so far from Erica Miller. Erica says, if you ignore a testimonial, can I later go back and give one? The answer to that one is no. Basically, ignore, I should probably see if I can rename that to ignore this forever. It makes it disappear from your list there, and you will never be able to give that person a testimonial. So you do want to be kind of careful with that one. All right, do we have any more questions? Any more questions at all? So Liz, why don't we take a look at your, because for some reason your phone number wasn't showing up. So let's take a look and see if we can see why that's not showing up, if that's okay. Okay, so Liz, I think you just put in a note that you've already updated your profile with that information. So tell you what, let's just come round circle on this. Oops, I spelled that wrong. We'll come around full circle if I could learn how to spell correctly. Suresh has a question as well, and Suresh says, can I see the events that I registered for? Unfortunately, we don't have a way to do that right now. That's something that's on our list here, but we should definitely have a way to do that. For now, you'd have to check in with your regional office on that one. So here we have your logo now, but the one thing it's not showing is your phone number. I don't know if you want to show that or not, but if you wanted to show that, I'm just going to show you how. So I have a special link into your membership record here. If you wanted to show your contact details, you could go to this tab here, and you would show your contact details by clicking that. Now, you may not want to share your address if you happen to have a home office. If you didn't want to share, you wanted to share your other contact details but not your home address, I would go to this tab and make sure that you have by appointment here. So that's great. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to show you what this looks like. If I click update and then I refresh this, now I can contact you. I can see that your address is by appointment, but that you're in Sarasota, Florida. So I'm going to flip that back to not showing. If you want to, just go into your profile and you can update that. The other thing I'd recommend for everybody that's still on the call here today is on this email forwarding tab, you may want to make sure that your connection requests are forwarded to you via email. That way you'll get notified when somebody wants to connect with you. Otherwise, that will just stay in the connections interface and you have to kind of proactively go and look for it. All right, Liz, thanks for being a good sport today. All right, do we have any other questions, comments, concerns, criticisms, compliments? We take them all. All right, on that note, I'm going to say thank you guys so much for investing in yourself and in your BNI chapter. And if there's anything I can do to help you out, please just let me know. I'm here to help in any way that I can. You can always reach me at jeremy@bni.com or support@bniconnect.com. Have an absolutely wonderful rest of the day, and I hope to see some of you on tomorrow's webinar. Happy connecting.